I think our football is dead, and I think that is the truth that we need to be to face and be honest with ourselves and admit that our football is dead. It starts there. The moment that we can be able to admit that there's nothing left of it. There's actually very little left of it. We're going to start right there in order to address the situation that we find ourselves in and try to rectify it. I mentioned the ICU factor there. I think, since 1996, we've been on a downward spiral, but it's very well documented, and I don't have to go into details. But if you look at our participation in international football since 2004, when we qualified for the African Nations Cup, we got knocked out in the group stages. In 2006, we got knocked out in the group stages. In 2006, we couldn't even score a goal, and we qualified again in 2008. We got knocked out in the group stages. So I think that era was when our football was in a critical stage. The signs were there that football needs to be rectified.
Now, at that level, at the stage that you're referring to, that era, what is it that we as a country should have done in trying to make sure that at least we keep the legacy of the class of 1996? Because that seems to be the glory year that every South African, when you think of our glory days in football in the continent, we refer to that year. What is it at that stage that needed to be done to make sure that we keep the legacy alive and improve in our football standards?
I think we actually fooled by our success in 1996. 4 years before 1996, we just got readmitted back into international football, and a lot of people are saying, you guys keep talking about development, but before 96, we were the best in Africa. In 96, we were the best in Africa, and we didn't have those development structures. What are you guys talking about now? But the point here is that, Marumo, I'm sure you're sitting there, you're doing your job right now, and but you do a better job on an empty stomach than on a stomach full of food that has gone off. And that is what killed our football. After 1996, we started attracting international coaches who came here, and they instilled or imposed their contrasting football mentalities into our football, and there was a lot of anarchy in terms of play style.
Sipho, having said that, talking about the inclusion of international coaches, one could argue that they're bringing a lot of experience, because these are people that have been played internationally, and these are people who've represented, like the likes of Alberto Pereira came into South Africa. I must say I saw a lot of improvement during his era. Now, one would argue that, some of those international coaches that came into the country, they brought some good.
You're right there. You're right when you say these coaches have achieved a lot. But that's a problem. We are misdiagnosing the problem that we have in South Africa. We do not have a problem with Bafana Bafana. We cannot address Bafana Bafana. Bafana Bafana will start addressing itself. The moment we start to address grassroots level, people right now are blaming Gordon. We fired Jules Santana, we fired Pizzo. How many coaches have we fired? How many players have we seen since 1996? But the problem persists. So it can only mean that what we've been blaming was not the root cause. We can bring Mourinho. That will not solve the problem that we have today.
Now, Sipho, we've spoken about all the problems that football in this country faces. But now let's talk solutions.
Yes.
You talk about misdiagnosing the problems and all of that. What is at the root core of this problem, and what is it that needs to be done to improve the standard of football in this country?
I think, first of all, we need technical intellect in this country. I was listening to Minister Mbalula lambasting the players like that, and I think it is for lack of technical intellect. And I'm not saying that we do not have it in the country. I've been fortunate enough to actually be privy to some of the documents that were written by some great football minds in this country to suffer, but they are left there to gather dust. And I have a document which was written in 1995 called the Safa Reconstruction Development Program. It actually addresses what needs to be done and also predicts that if this is not done, in 20 years' time, there won't be football in this country, and that's where we find ourselves right now.
That's Sipho Kekana, that's SABC Digital sports producer, giving us an insight on what is it that he thinks should be done to improve the quality of football in South Africa. Stay tuned. AM News continues immediately after this short break.